Welcome back to the Shop Mini RC, everybody. Today we're looking at something that I should have done a long time ago, but I keep seeing it popping up. I've got a brand new set of Meus V1 SCX24 Isokinetic Axles. So these are the not nylon ones. These are the first versions, probably the most common out there right now, and they have the proprietary servo mount that goes on here. So a lot of people have issues when they're trying to do aftermarket servo mounts, whether it's the 3-flow 9 or it's like this Torq Servo setup here or any other servo mounts, the Mofo, any of them. They all kind of have issues with the isokinetic axle here. But I've mounted 3-flow 9 servo tray, the rear steer servo tray on there, and I'll show that here. You can see that guy right here. Again, isokinetics. That's a standard SCX24 spec servo tray. But it's special for rear steer and these super small servos to save weight on the back and give some upper link adjustments and whatnot. Either way, this uses the standard mount, and I was able to make it work on here. So I figured I would show you guys on here. We got a new Torq Servo, and we got the new isokinetics. Well, a new set. It's V1. It's a very simple process. It does require Dremeling and making holes bigger. I went ahead and removed the screws already, but we're just going to Dremel down this diff cover here, taking off these little tabs. It's going to thin it up a little for sure, and then we're going to have to make our holes a little more narrow. The holes are pretty far apart here. If you look at a stock servo hole dimensions, you can see they're just a little off. Sits just a little further off. So we basically will just take these holes and kind of oval them out so they go inward toward the center, and we should be good there. Another thing I've noticed about this Torq Servo is when it sits on the actual round portion of the axle here, you can see it doesn't sit quite flush and the holes are a little high. They don't sit low enough. So I'm going to Dremel this out just a little bit to get the servo mount to sit a little more flush on that housing. You can kind of see the gap there again. So you can see there's a little bit of gap. Well, there you go. A little bit of gap there, and that's as flush as it'll get. So we're going to take that little gap out. You can see the blue in there. Take that gap out. Just Dremel this out a little bit. We're going to Dremel out these holes a little bit. We're going to make it work just so you can see how to do it. It's not that hard. So first thing I want to do is Dremel this down. Now it looks like our Dremel barrel is almost the right size. It's almost a little bit too big a diameter though. I'm worried I'm going to cut too deep into the holes here. I don't want to get those holes weakened. I just want to make a little bit of space in there so it sits a little more flush. So we're going to try this guy here. This one looks the same. Again, we're just trying to take off a little bit so that we can sit nice and flush. Yeah, that's too much. By the time that gets down, we're going to be getting into our holes. So not ideal. We'll just use this here, whereas this guy is going to be not quite the right shape as far as it'll actually let us go deeper here, but I don't want that. I just want to take a little off here, a little off here. Should be super easy. Shouldn't take much. All right, let's see. And again, we're just trying to get it to sit a little more flat. There we go. See that? Sitting a little bit more flat. Not as much space, not as much blue showing through. Get our holes a little bit closer to alignment. Okay. We should be golden here. You can kind of see the holes in there. See, there's just barely enough room. So now we got to take in our holes just a little bit. So we're going to use a drill bit and just kind of go in. We'll use our Dremel for that as well, I guess. We'll just kind of take it in just a little bit. And we're going to do it on both the diff cover and the truss here. Our holes here are threaded, so we're not going to, we should be good there. Hold on, let me see something. If we come in, yeah. You just want to make sure that the holes on your mount are threaded. Otherwise, you'll have to rethread these holes here, and they'll be kind of oval shaped, so they won't thread the best. But again, we're making it work. It's not going to be perfect. We're making it work. All right, let's see here. I just want to kind of look at this again. Yeah. Okay, so let's get a drill bit, and we'll start making these a little bit more roomy. Okay, you can see I've taken some material out. I probably went up a little higher than I needed to on these ones. But you get the idea. I'm basically going to bring this in just a little bit more. I'm test fitting it along the way. Basically throw my servo on there. We haven't gotten to this yet, but throw a servo on there. We basically just grab a screw, grab some long ones, and we'll kind of test fit it, get it in on one side, make sure we're all the way through. We'll even screw it in just a little bit, just to know that we're threading into the servo mount itself. All right, there we go. And then we can see how much space is still needing to be taken out there. You can kind of see. So there you go. You can see there's just a little bit. We can take a little bit more out of each side, just a tiny bit, and that'll let us get our screw all the way through here, no problem. And we're just using like a 1.5 millimeter drill bit on our Dremel and just kind of working out some material. Not much. You don't have to go too hard on it. Again, just kind of do a little bit, test, do a little bit, test. And we're just going to take it in just a little bit. We're going to go in a little bit further here this way. So I basically just put it in there and hold it to the side. Nothing too crazy. And our screw should fit nice now. Again, you don't want to take off too much material. You want it to still be kind of snug. We're still kind of snug here, it feels like. Oh, yeah, we're good. We're able to like thread it through. So if you wanted to take off more, you could, but we didn't need to. I'd rather actually have it nice and tight. I can feel it kind of go up against the threads of the screw, go up against the axle housing. So it's just enough in there to keep it nice and tight. You can see plenty snug there. There's no movement. Oh, maybe just the tiniest. Oh, you can barely even see that. But once we're tight, it won't matter. So the screws are fitting all the way through now. We're threading all the way into here. I'm going to go ahead and back these out, and then we will work on the diff cover on the back. So like I said, on the back, the main part of the diff cover here is that these little tabs need to be made flush, or at least very close to flush here. I'll show you once I get these screws out, kind of how this mount's sitting and why they don't need to be completely flush. So with the servo pushed all the way to the front here, you can see there's a little bit of play this way. See that? We're going to want to push this all the way forward though. I think it'll just be the best way to have this tight. And again, I think all the different servo mounts are going to vary just a tiny bit. But you can see there's just like a 1/4 millimeter here of ledge or ridge. And so this is going to sit right on top of that. And so we need to take off enough of those tabs to get this to sit flush, which is basically, you could take them all the way down even, but you don't have to be completely flat. You could probably leave, like I said, maybe a 1/4 millimeter, just the tiniest bit. So if you're not perfectly flat, you'll be fine, because it's going to help push and snug that servo mount up anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and Dremel these down now, and we're just going to use our barrel from the Dremel here. Dremel's the best tool you can buy for RC, just saying, and a soldering iron. All right, I'm going to go ahead and Dremel this down. And I always recommend taking off less, test fitting, and then taking off more. If you take off too much, you can't put it back. Especially if it's your first time doing it. So you can see we've kind of flattened it down now. It doesn't have to be totally perfect. I guess it depends on how OCD you are. And then we just kind of test fit it, make sure it'll sit. Let's see, we didn't need to take off that much, and we did. There you go. You can see there's a little bit of gap there. Nothing too crazy. There we go. Like so. Okay, so now it fits. So there's going to be a little bit of play there. If we would have taken off less, we might have been able to eliminate some of that. But once the screw's in there, you're not going to get any play anyway. So we should be golden here. I'm going to go ahead and take out some of the space in here now. Again, we're going to bring these holes inward. just a little bit inward, and that will help align us with the fronts here and get us just enough room for that screw, just a tiny bit. I'll actually just bring it in this way, a little straight across. Now this is brass, so it's going to be a lot easier to kind of get that hole in there and make that space. So definitely don't have to push as hard or go as long as you do over here. All right, so you can see, again, we're not doing it perfect. I'm just trying to show you. It just takes a little ingenuity and you can make stuff work. So before we test to see if our screws are, I guess we could pull this off and just line it up this way and see if we've got alignment there. But I think I'm going to go ahead, and it looks pretty close. Last time I did this, it was super, super close, and I basically just let it kind of force itself in there, and the screw's a little tight. Just don't break off the screw or anything crazy like that. But I'm going to go ahead and put this guy back together. I'm going to go ahead and put my 4 screws in here. That way I know this is nice and snug and fit how it's supposed to on the differential here, because it does kind of fit super tight, super precise and accurate in how it fits into the axle housing. So we want to make sure that that's all nice and flush the way it's supposed to be. Put our 4 screws back in, and then we will test the screws into there. And if we have to take off a little more, we can, and if not, we can kind of force it through. Again, the brass is pretty soft, so we don't have to, it doesn't have to be exact. We can kind of, it'll actually kind of thread itself a little bit if you're careful. Again, we'll see. All right, we're all mounted back on. Yeah, I should have taken off a little less on these tabs because we had plenty of space. I know on this guy, that part of the servo mount, and I'll show some pictures back in there, was a lot thicker where the diff cover sits. So we didn't take out as much. And actually, we've got it sitting differently. See how it's sitting kind of behind? So you could try to do that as well if you wanted to have it sit more like this. Or you could do it like this, either way. Depending on how you want your servo to sit, I guess. And then, take off the amount of material on the tabs as is appropriate. I guess it's going to depend on your upper links as well. I don't remember how these sit on here. I thought they sat like this. So that's how I'm doing it here. But again, maybe our build would require us to do it like this. You do it like that. Again, just set it up appropriately. And worst case, if you end up having to, drill out and you've got no threading on your servo mount that makes sense for what you're trying to do here, you can always use a tiny nut, the little tiny M14 nuts that go on the ends, and that'd be fine too. Now we shouldn't have to do that here, especially since this is threaded right here. We should be good. So, all right, let's see if we can get a screw in here. We might need to take a little bit of material off, a little bit. Oh no, here we go. I think. Yeah, there we go. All right, so it looks like we're going all the way through. Nice, nice. And now we just need to try to get this side to go all the way through. Might be a little bit more difficult. I'm thinking we might actually want to take a little bit more off the inside of this mount, so this will sit more flush. It would actually make it so we can line up our holes a lot easier as well. I'm going to go ahead and do that. They're definitely off no matter what, because like I said, even on this mount, the holes were slightly off. But I wonder if the Torq Servo is almost just a little bit more narrow. The 2 holes are closer together than typical, because that would cause it to line up even worse if they're just a tiny off. Like they could be 0.1 millimeters, 0.2 millimeters closer together on each side, and it would cause the staff to take out a little bit more material than we normally would. Also, like I said, it seems like we're real close. See that? It's pretty close to the end here. If the holes were just a half millimeter over, not even a half millimeter, like I said, 0.1 millimeters further apart, closer to the edge, they'd still fit on a stock axle, no problem. And they'd fit a little better on this. Either way, I think we're just going to take out a little bit more material here. All right, took out just a little bit more. Tiny bit. And now I bet this guy will sit a lot more flush. Yeah, look at that. Way more flush, which means our screw should fit a lot easier here. I'm going to screw it all the way in. Just want it enough to where I can see do I have the space I need here? And it looks like we need to go in just a little further. So back to the bit. Boom, nice and snug. Look at that. And again, it's brass, so it's actually, when I tighten it up, if you tighten it too tight, it'll kind of, see if I can get a good shot on that. It's going to suck itself in. So it actually bent in just a little bit there, but man, solid, rock solid. Not coming out at all. Beautiful. And there you go. So totally doable. It fits. You just got to make it. One of the reasons I really wanted to show this is just to show you guys, I know there's a lot of people out there that are kind of scared to dive in and do this kind of stuff. It's easy. Just, you know, I get it on a set of $100 axles or $80 axles, whatever, $30, $40 servo. You don't want to mess it up. I understand that. But, you know, sometimes you get the best reward by taking a little bit of risk. And so, you know, if you really want to get a specific mount, whether it's this or the 3-flow 9 or a mofo mount or any other servo mount that's a stock SCX servo mount, you want to make it fit, just make it happen. Do what you can. Figure it out. Showed you some tips. Showed you how we did it. Maybe you've got a little bit different way to do it. I don't know. But the point is we would have never known if we didn't at least just get in there and try. So now again, it's rock solid. Like this servo is on there good. It's nice and snug. Like I said, it kind of tightened itself up on there. So there's no movement at all. Like none. Like a lot of times you can still kind of feel a little click, just like a click, click, click. No, we're good. Again, it's because you test fit, try. Take material off. Test fit, take material off. Test fit, take material off. Don't just do it all in one go and then, oh, we made it too much. Like I said, I even kind of messed up by taking off a little too much material there, and I've done this before. So it still worked out. Probably would have been a little better if we didn't take off as much material there, but hey, it still worked out. And that's kind of the point. Get out there and try. So I hope this inspired somebody out there to get out there and do something awesome with their car, Dremel, cut, solder, whatever. It's doable. You can always make things work. Sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's easy. This one's actually fairly easy. Don't be too intimidated by it. All you need is a Dremel and a drill bit and a sand disc, and you're good. Hell, you could probably use an X-Acto knife if you really want to get in there and kind of try to scrape at the holes until they got big enough. It'd be kind of hard, but you might be able to do it. I've seen crazier things. So anyway, guys, I hope this helps somebody out there. I know it's going to help somebody because I've seen a lot of people asking. So I hope you guys get out there and build something awesome, build a car, build a course, build a community. Those are the most important things in this hobby. It's how we learn and grow and enjoy, and then smash it, crash it, and bash it. But don't worry about breaking expensive parts. Just try it. Just be careful. Go slow. Cut small. Easy peasy. Alrighty, peace.